It was supposed to be the happiest day of my son's life, his 10th birthday, a brand new bike, and a neighborhood party. But that joy turned into panic when the HOA president shoved him to the ground and accused him of theft on his birthday. She didn't know the entire neighborhood had witnessed it. She didn't know we had receipts. And she definitely didn't know this time she'd messed with the wrong family. I'll never forget the sound of my son's terrified scream echoing through our normally quiet suburban neighborhood. I was in the backyard setting up for his birthday party when I heard it, that heart-topping wail that makes every parent drop everything and run. By the time I made it to the front yard, my blood ran cold at what I saw. My 10-year-old son Tommy was on the ground crying while a red-faced woman in her 50s had her hands gripped tightly around the handlebars of his brand new mountain bike. The bike I had just given him not even an hour ago. "This isn't yours. Put it down right now," she shrieked, yanking the bike away from my son, who was desperately trying to hold on to it through his tears. "I know exactly which garage you stole this from." I sprinted across the lawn as I saw Tommy stumble backward, the woman's hand having made contact with a shoulder in what looked unmistakably like a shove. Several neighbors had already come out of their homes, and I heard someone in the crowd say they were calling 911. This woman, who I would soon learn was Barbara Wilson, our homeowners association president, had just put her hands on my child, not knowing it was his birthday and his bike. Tommy had been begging for that bright red mountain bike for months. He'd cut out pictures from magazines, sent me links online, and even made a PowerPoint presentation about why it would be the most responsible and life-changing gift ever. So when his 10th birthday arrived, I knew exactly what would make it perfect. I'd hidden the bike at my sister's house for weeks, and the look on Tommy's face when he unwrapped the small box containing a picture of the bike was worth every penny of overtime I'd worked to afford it. We had brought the bike out front while setting up the backyard for his party. Tommy couldn't wait to try it, so I told him he could ride it up and down our street, staying in my sight while I finished hanging decorations and setting up the cake table. That's when Barbara must have spotted him and immediately jumped to her own conclusions. "Ma'am, please take your hands off my son and his bike," I said, trying to keep my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. Several neighbors had gathered by now, some with phones out recording the confrontation. Barbara spun around, her face contorted with self-righteous indignation. "Your son? This bike? I don't think so. The Millers down the street just reported a bike stolen from their garage, and it looks exactly like this one. I was on my way to inspect the Thompsons' unapproved garden gnomes when I caught this little thief in action." Tommy, still on the ground, looked up at me with tears streaming down his face. "Dad, tell her you gave it to me for my birthday today." Before I could respond, Barbara let out a condescending laugh. "Oh, how convenient. It's your birthday, so you decided to give yourself a $500 mountain bike. All the kids in this neighborhood know not to take what isn't theirs. This HOA has rules, and I enforce them." I stepped between Barbara and my son, helping Tommy to his feet. "Barbara, this is ridiculous. It is his birthday. There are decorations in our backyard, present wrappings in our trash can, and I have the receipt for this bike in my wallet. You're making a terrible mistake." She scoffed, pointing an accusatory finger at me. "So you're teaching your son to lie too. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? I always knew there was something suspicious about you people moving into this neighborhood. The board should have been stricter with the background checks." The situation was escalating fast. More neighbors gathered, whispering among themselves. I recognized some faces, neighbors who had mentioned Barbara's reign of terror over minor violations, like incorrectly colored mailboxes and garbage cans left out an hour too long. Tommy clutched my hand, trembling slightly as Barbara continued her tirade. "I'm confiscating this bike until the real owner can be identified," she declared, attempting to wheel it away. When Tommy instinctively reached for it, crying, "No, it's mine," Barbara actually shoved him backward with enough force that he fell again. That's when I lost my composure. "Don't you dare touch my son," I shouted, stepping forward protectively. "What is wrong with you? He's a child." Barbara's face turned an even deeper shade of red. "He shouldn't be resisting an HOA official. I'm performing my duties. This is theft, plain and simple." My neighbor from across the street, Mrs. Chen, stepped forward, holding up her phone. "I've been recording this whole thing, Barbara. You just pushed a child to the ground. That's assault." Barbara's head snapped toward Mrs. Chen, momentarily stunned, but quickly recovering. "I did no such thing. He fell because he was trying to run away with stolen property. I'm the victim here." That's when we heard the police sirens approaching. Barbara's expression shifted from rage to smug satisfaction. "Finally, now we'll get this sorted out. You'll see what happens when you break the rules in my neighborhood." The police car pulled up, and 2 officers stepped out, taking in the unusual scene. A crying child, an angry woman holding a bike, and a crowd of neighbors with phones out. I was relieved to see Officer Martinez, who I recognized from community events. "What's going on here?" Officer Martinez asked, approaching cautiously. Barbara immediately launched into her version of events. "Officer, I caught this boy stealing a bicycle from another residence. When I confronted him, his father came out and started threatening me. I was simply performing my duties as HOA president to maintain the safety and integrity of our community." I took a deep breath, determined to stay calm. "Officer Martinez, today is my son's 10th birthday. That bike is his birthday present from me. I have the receipt in my wallet and about 20 witnesses who saw me give it to him this morning. This woman accosted my son while he was riding his new bike, accused him of theft without evidence, and then physically pushed him to the ground when he tried to explain." Officer Martinez turned to Barbara. "Ma'am, did you physically touch the child?" "Absolutely not," Barbara insisted. "He fell while trying to keep possession of stolen property." Mrs. Chen stepped forward again. "Officer, I have video of the entire incident, including when she pushed the boy." She handed her phone to the officer, who watched the footage with a deepening frown. "And I have the gift receipt," I added, pulling it from my wallet and showing the date and time of purchase from 3 weeks ago. "I've been planning this surprise for a month." Another neighbor called out, "I saw them bringing the bike home this morning. The kid was so excited, he was jumping up and down in their driveway." Officer Martinez handed the phone back to Mrs. Chen and turned to his partner, speaking in a low voice. They nodded to each other before approaching Barbara. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step away from the bicycle," Officer Martinez said firmly. Barbara's confident expression faltered. But I'm the HOA president. This is my responsibility to—" "Ma'am," Officer Martinez interrupted. "Based on the evidence we've seen, including video footage and multiple witness statements, you physically assaulted a minor and attempted to take his property under false pretenses." Barbara's mouth opened. "That's absurd. I was protecting our community." The Millers reported, "We've had no reports of stolen bicycles in this area," the second officer interjected. "And even if there had been, that wouldn't authorize you to physically confront a child or take property without verification." While this conversation was happening, I knelt beside Tommy, checking to make sure he wasn't hurt. "Are you okay, buddy?" I asked softly. He nodded, wiping his tears. "Is you going to take my bike, Dad?" "No, son, that's your bike. No one is taking it from you," I reassured him, giving him a hug. The situation took a dramatic turn when Officer Martinez asked Barbara to place her hands behind her back. "Barbara Wilson, you're under arrest for assault on a minor and attempted theft. You have the right to remain silent." The collective gasp from the neighborhood was audible. Barbara's face drained of all color as the reality of her situation sank in. "This is outrageous. Do you know who I am? I'll have your badge for this. I'll sue this entire neighborhood." As the officers escorted a still protesting Barbara to the police car, Tommy looked up at me with wide eyes. "Dad, is she really getting arrested because of me?" I shook my head. "No, buddy. She's getting arrested because of her own actions. No one has the right to hurt you or take your things. Not even an HOA president. 3 months later, Barbara pleaded guilty to misdemeanor assault and attempted theft. The judge sentenced her to 6 months probation, a $5,000 fine, mandatory anger management classes, and a restraining order requiring her to stay at least 100 feet away from our family at all times. She was unanimously voted off the HOA board in an emergency session the week after her arrest. The last I heard, Barbara was putting her house up for sale, unable to face the neighbors who had witnessed her downfall. As she was loading boxes into a moving truck, I caught her eye across the street. For a moment, she stood frozen, her face a mixture of humiliation and lingering anger. Then, without a word, she turned and hurried back inside, slamming the door behind. Barbara thought she did bully a 10-year-old and get away with it. But what she learned is that community doesn't mean control, it means protection. And when a neighborhood finally stands together, even the most entitled HOA president can't outrun the truth. Have you ever witnessed someone abuse HOA power? Or watched karma catch up to a neighborhood tyrant? Share your story in the comments below. And hit like, subscribe, and that bell for more real HOA takedowns. Because when enough good neighbors speak up, even the worst Karens get what's coming.